What are the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD? How do you know if you've been traumatized to the point that you're experiencing it? And what do you do? What do you do so that this doesn't continue to upset your life? I'm Jonathan Decker with Mended, and this is Ask a Therapist. Let's dive in. Outside of anxiety and depression, of all of the mental, emotional disorders, things people wrestle with, the one that people seem to know the most about is post-traumatic stress disorder. And yet we run into something in our lives called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is where we overestimate how much we actually understand something. Where if we gain a little knowledge, we think we've gained a lot of knowledge. And I know I've certainly been guilty of this. I think we all have. It's a human trait. So how well do you truly understand PTSD? Well, post-traumatic stress disorder occurs when your life is upset by a near-death experience or witnessing an act of violence, or your life is in danger, or you actually witness somebody dying. And that's the official classification, but the fact is PTSD symptoms crop up after a betrayal. They crop up after abuse and neglect. We see them in all sorts of circumstances. So how do you know if you've been traumatized to the point where you're experiencing PTSD? PTSD symptoms are broken into 4 groups. The first is intrusive memories. The second is avoidance. The third is negative changes in thinking, moods, or behavior. And the fourth is where you start to see differences in your physical response. Let's start with number 1, which is intrusive memories, right? Intrusive memories looks like recurrent, unwanted, distressing memories of the event. These memories can come at almost any time. You're trying to enjoy dinner with family and friends, play with your kids, right? Enjoy a book that you're reading. I know a lot of people who this happens when they're watching movies. They've been through a trauma and they're watching a movie whose plot they haven't researched, and something happens in the plot that brings up traumatic memories that they've experienced. And then they are not enjoying the movie, they're not enjoying the moment, they are having an anxiety attack, they're having a panic attack, or they just feel really awful. In some more extreme cases, this looks like reliving the event as if it were happening again, like having flashbacks that you're actually in the time and place of the trauma. We see this a lot with war veterans, where a car backfires, and instead of just jumping and being like, oh, that startled me, which also happens a lot with them, they actually believe they're back in combat. And they're screaming and they're crawling around on the ground, and they need people to guide them out of it and talk them out of it and help them to see when and where that they are. A lot of people think that that is what PTSD looks like, but that's only just a slice of the pie. If that's never happened to you, that doesn't mean you don't have PTSD. You could have these recurring memories. You can have nightmares, unwanted nightmares, when you can't avoid thinking about it, when your brain can't shut it off. Maybe during the day you're fine, but at night it's awful. And we see this, speaking of movies, we see this a lot in movies. People having nightmares of something terrible they went through is the easiest cinematic shorthand, or in novels and books, is the easiest shorthand that this person has experienced a trauma and is going through PTSD. This also looks like real severe emotional distress and physical reactions when you see or hear or experience reminders of the event. That's called a trigger, right? If there was a song playing when the terrible thing happened, then I hear that song and I associate it with a memory, or a fragrance, or a smell, or a sight. A lot of triggers are based on our senses, things that we bring in. One of the hardest things about betrayal trauma, if I'm a firefighter and my best buddy dies right in front of me in a fire, I can take time off from fighting fires. I don't need to have fires in my life, right? I can take paid leave of absence type thing. You know, if I'm a war veteran, I can come home and be with my family, and I don't have to live in a war zone. If I've been betrayed, there may be no escape. I'm living with my trigger, and that's really, really hard. Every day I'm seeing the person who hurt me, or if I've been abused or neglected, I'm living with my trigger, and I have to deal with that every single day, which can lead to something called CPTSD, or complex PTSD, which is when the trauma doesn't happen once or over a short period of time. It happens over an extended period of time. And sometimes the symptoms or the results of that are much, much worse. So because we don't like to feel triggered, we don't like to have panic attacks, we don't like to have nightmares, we don't like to be reminded of things that are unpleasant or painful or fearful or trigger an intense fear response in us, we lean into avoidance, which is the second major symptom of PTSD. And avoidance looks like staying away from places that might remind you. First of all, I don't want to think about it, so I avoid thinking about it, I avoid talking about it. People bring it up, I say it's fine, or I change the subject quickly. Or I stay away from sights, sounds, places, people that might remind me of the traumatic event. That's a symptom of PTSD behavior, and the problem is it can keep you from living. I'm pretty sure I was stuck in traffic today behind someone who'd been in a serious car accident because they seemed terrified to make a simple left-hand turn when there are plenty of big openings where there was no way they were gonna get hit, and they just seemed like they'd push the gas and they'd stop. And then they wait, and I'm pretty sure, and that's a hard thing about car accident trauma or road trauma is we drive. We're driving people, and avoidance of that for some people means they walk, they ride bikes, they take buses, right? They take the subway.
I feel strange this morning, you okay?
The third major symptom is negative changes in thinking and mood, and this may look like hopelessness about the world. It may look like extreme self-blame. It may look like depression or anxiety. It may look like feeling detached from friends and family, not being interested in things that used to interest you. Having a hard time feeling positive emotions. Like you can feel fear and anxiety and sadness, but you can't feel happy or at peace or connected. Or you may just feel nothing. You may feel emotionally numb. I've met people who have been through abusive situations who just shut off emotion because they don't want to be afraid anymore, because they don't want to be sad anymore, because they don't want to be anxious anymore. But then they can't connect. They might want to, but they don't know how anymore. It's been so long since they've felt. In cases like that, or in any case, honestly, where you're struggling with PTSD, where you've had a trauma, get help. Get qualified help. I'll talk about that more in a second. The fourth symptom is changes in your physical behavior. This could look like being easily startled, easily frightened, always being on guard for danger, right? This is called hyper-awareness. Imagine a life where you're at peace and you enjoy the family barbecue and you enjoy going to the mall or you enjoy going for the hike, versus a life where you stay in bed or you stay at home and you don't associate with people and you don't do things because it's all so fearful that something bad could happen at any time, or where you are always in a public place because you're afraid to be alone and you don't feel at peace or safe in your own home. It's awful. We see trouble sleeping, trouble concentrating, self-destructive behavior like drinking too much, driving too fast, trying to numb the pain with having a lot of sexual partners, right? Just trying to escape it all instead of facing it.
Weaver said she wanted a divorce, and I jumped out of the car.
Some people who experience PTSD experience irritability. They have these major angry outbursts, and then they experience shame because of it, or they experience shame and guilt because they blame themselves for the trauma. I should have been more careful. I shouldn't have been so stupid. I should have not been in that relationship. I shoulda, and they should all over themselves instead of letting the trauma own the trauma.
It's all my fault.
Right? Letting the attacker own the trauma, letting, force of nature, tornado, car accident, whatever it is, they blame themselves. And maybe there's some there, not blame, but like, I should have done things differently, okay? In that case, we go into what is healthy guilt versus unhealthy guilt, and healthy guilt is directed at a behavior that you can change. I had this terrible experience. I wish I hadn't. I feel guilty. What am I going to do in the future? This is a painful learning experience, but I'm not going to take ownership of the terrible thing happening. I can own that I should have made a better choice. I can own that I didn't know at the time what I know now, and I'm going to do things differently. That's healthy. But unhealthy guilt is directed at you as a person. It drags you down. Instead of saying that wasn't my smartest choice, or I know better now, it says I'm stupid, I'm wrong, I'm bad. And that doesn't help you. It just holds you down and keeps you from growing, feeling happiness again. Now, these are the symptoms of PTSD. If you're experiencing these symptoms, you don't have to go through it alone. And what's more, if you try and go through it alone, it'll likely last longer and not fully heal. Get qualified help. Here at Mended Light, our team is qualified to help you work through trauma. Visit mendedlight.com to learn more about what we do, to get to know the members of our team, and to schedule an appointment. I also want to invite you to check out our video, How Do You Know If You Have Trauma? Sometimes there's some confusion on that. Sometimes people minimize and say, oh, I don't have it as bad as other people, so it can't be trauma. Well, don't be so sure. Have a look. If you enjoy what we're doing here with Mended Light, if it's meaningful for you, you probably know some people who are struggling. Please pass our videos along to them. Please share. And I want to make sure you see everything we do, because everything we do is designed to help. It's designed to lift, it's designed to heal. So like, subscribe, click that bell so you make sure you get notified as our new videos roll out. Most importantly, keep shining, because the world and we need your light. I'm Jonathan Decker with Mended Light. This is Ask a Therapist, and I will see you next time. And here that video comes. See it? Click. Click, click. Click on that video. It's gonna help. Do it.